Nowadays, one of the few programs televised live is the news.
Good evening. As mopping up operations continue in the quake-devastated
Here, Michael de Morgan sits in front of a blue backdrop, and by some electronic magic, the control team can superimpose films or slides over the backdrop behind him. So on the TV screen, he seems to be sitting at the scene of the action, while our movie cameras only see the blue backdrop.
Monsoon rains have claimed more than 350
By more electronic magic, the script is projected right in front of the camera lens so that Michael can look directly at the camera as he reads. It takes a lot of concentration and experience to read the news on TV. Exact timing is needed, and above all, the newsreader is expected not to lose his composure when things go wrong.
Northeast of Luzon Island.
So we concocted a fiendish plot against a young apprentice newsreader. Firstly, we wrote an impossible news bulletin with some unpronounceable Russian names, a naughty word, and some other pitfalls. Then we persuaded the TV authorities to aid and abet us in our dastardly scheme. So one evening, only seconds before news time, they suddenly told Nigel Curling, who'd never faced the camera before, that there'd been an accident. Studio 1 was out of action and Michael de Morgan had been injured. Now he would have to read the news in Studio 2.
Bruce, are the cameras set up? They all set up.
They rushed him down to Studio 2, where they'd set up a makeshift blue backdrop and where people were still pretending to be setting up cameras and microphones in a frantic hurry. They swarmed around him for a last-minute briefing and gave him the impossible bulletin.
Well, please, can you fix them? We're not...
Stand by, please. 10 seconds to go. Play the logo.
Good evening. The Soviet news agency TASS reports that the Russian astronauts Libjola Bezazilborikti and Igor Lubjan-Itsitsiki have successfully returned to Earth with samples of moon rock. The samples had been drilled from a depth of 2 meters below the moon's surface. Princess Anne had a spill today at the horse trials near Guildford. The horse escaped injury, but the princess said that she would shoot the horse escaped injury, but the princess said that she would shoot the son of a bitch if it stumbled again. North Korea said 700 United Nations command troops with lorries and a helicopter were mobilized to... North Korea said 700 United Nations command troops mobilized to fell a tree in the truce village of Panmunjom yesterday. The tree was the center of the heaviest snowfalls of the winter have occurred over large parts of the southern and western Cape.
The studio's
and
booked
the
for
Karoo.
Sports Vision. It's Wednesday night.
After last night's excessively
What do you mean,
heavy
get
rains,
out?
most
You better
of the
get your
mountain
asses
peaks
out
in
of
these
here.
areas
I'm
are
warning you
under a
right now,
mantle
when
of
my
snow.
producer finds you here, there's going to be hell to
Torrential
pay.
rainstorms
You guys
are
better take my
accompanied
advice and pack up and
by
get
high
out.
winds, accompanied by high winds resulting
I'm
in a
telling
break
you,
in
Kim Ship is
telephone
going to be
services.
furious.
We seem to have a slight technical problem. I'll continue with the news. American presidential candidate Mr. Jimmy Carter says he'll never commit U.S. forces to involvement in another country's internal affairs. In a magazine interview, he said any direct action in Rhodesia or South Africa would have to be taken by countries with what he termed legal responsibilities.
Of course, there was no Story 61.
I must apologize for the interruption, but we do have a lot of technical difficulties due to a studio move. There is no page 61. No, there...
Here it is.
Thank you.
She handed him a script that was treated to fade when exposed to light.
Greece's inner cabinet met in emergency session yesterday after intensive private negotiations in the UN. Security Council failed to... I must apologize for this break, the strange interruptions
Nigel.
tonight, but we do seem to be
Nigel.
having some technical difficulties.
Nigel, relax. You've been had. You aren't on the air. This is all a joke. We're making a movie.
If you take your film in for developing and printing, and the man behind the counter does that with it, well, you're not going to be very happy, are you? Well, that's what Buster did with his customers. Only he had some dummy cassette